select committees, as we call them, for consideration and recommendation to the House.
We'll bring you details as Parliament's Appointment Committee refutes widely circulated media reports suggesting Information Minister designate and two others have been rejected by members on the committee. Stay with us for all the details and coming up later in business.
Guta welcomes directive by Ghana Shippers Authority for shipping lines to withdraw recently advertised port additional charges.
Emmanuel Abuajiriafe will join us with details. Remember, this bulletin is live across the country at www.asaaseradio.com. You can tweet at us. Our handle is at Asaase Radio 905. We're streaming live on YouTube at Asaase TV Official. Once again, thank you very much for joining us. Let's start off from this. And the Supreme Court on Thursday will give its judgment on the 2020 election petition filed by the former President John Mahama. This is coming after over 50 days of argument and counter-argument at the country's apex court on why the petitioner's case must be upheld or rejected. As you may be aware, Asaase Radio last evening started a comprehensive recap of what brought us here. We'll continue this today, starting from the day the former president, the petitioner, Mr. John Mahama, filed. That's the 30th of December 2021. I'm joined in the studio now by editor of our legal and political desk, Wilberforce Asare. Wilberforce, the former president filed on the 30th of December 2020, like I said. But following that, there were some interesting developments. Tell us more.
All right, so just after filing on the 30th of December 2020, people started scrutinizing what had been filed at the Supreme Court, and it was discovered that there were some mistakes, identifiable mistakes in the petition as was filed. The mistakes essentially was about the fact that when the petitioner was naming the parties, of course, he is the petitioner, the first respondent being the Electoral Commission and the second respondent being President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. However, in the course of putting together the entire petition, at some point in the petition, the first respondent, the EC, became the second respondent, and the second respondent, President Akufo-Addo, became the first respondent. And so that became the talk of the town, because then people were saying that the petitioner, even though is accusing the Electoral Commission of making mistakes, has himself made very clerical errors that should be pardonable if the mistakes of the Electoral Commission should be pardonable. And so that's what was the talk of the town. It was trending on Twitter. It was all over the place.
Okay, now beyond this, there have also been some, in all, the petitioner filed 8 applications in between the trial. Take us through them.
All right, so the first application really was an application seeking permission of the court to amend the mistakes that were identified in the petition. Now, that application, the Supreme Court granted on the 14th of January, and subsequently, the petitioner filed an amended petition. Now, from the 14th, when the court first sat, till when the court finished its sitting a week or so ago, the petitioner had filed a total of 8 more applications, from applications for interrogatories, application to inspect original documents, application to reopen their case, and 3 applications for review, because the court gave various decisions that we were not happy with. Again, 2 applications for stay of proceedings. And so multiple applications, and with the exception of the application to amend, all the other applications were dismissed. It is only the application for amendment of the petition that was granted by the court.
Now, what has been the response to the 2020 election petition so far as compared to that of 2012-2013? You can vividly remember what happened in 2012-2013.
All right, indeed. So with this application, just like the 2012-2013, it was telecast live on national television. And so people have been glued to their television sets watching proceedings. However, people have said that it appears proceedings in this particular one were too prolonged in terms of arguments, particularly from the lawyer for the petitioner. There were times that he would be on his feet arguing one issue for about 2 hours. Just to move his application and all that. So that's the feedback that some people have given. Others have also said that, well, no matter how you look at it, it has been educative, and a lot of things have come up that they have learned. Some people said they have also developed an appetite for the law just because they participated in the proceedings that were before the court. And so that's how people have described this whole activity. Some say that they're actually going to miss the proceedings once it ends when the court delivers its judgment on Thursday.
Quite interesting. Wilberforce stays in the studio with me, and we're getting the information that President Akufo-Addo will deliver the State of the Nation address on the 9th of March. That's this month, 2021, and the delivery of the State of the delivery of the budget statement will be on the 12th of this same month. We'll get to the details shortly, but first, yesterday there was this widely circulated information in the media that the Appointment Committee of Parliament had rejected 3 of President Akufo-Addo's Ministers of State designate, including Information Minister Kojo Oppong-Koma and Fisheries and Aquaculture Minister designate Mavis Hawa Kumsin, and 5 others, including Health Minister Kwekwajuman Menu's approval still pending. Okay, so let me just still go to the President giving State of the Nation address on the 9th of this month. What information do you have?
All right, so the President's representative at the Ministry for Parliamentary Affairs and the Minister for Parliamentary Affairs designate Osechi Mensah Bonsu, speaking on the floor of Parliament this today, indicated that the President is going to be in the House on the 9th. It's Tuesday, the 9th of March. Now, notice that the President's ministers are still being vetted. The substantive ministers have all been vetted, that's true, but regional ministers are being vetted with the exception of the finance minister, who is yet to be vetted. But the President is saying that he's coming to the House on the 9th. That would mean that he has written to the House has accepted it, and that's why it's announced on the floor. So on Tuesday the 9th, the President will deliver the State of the Nation address, which is a constitutional duty that is placed on the President to do at any time he takes office. And then followed by the Finance Minister's budget. You know that we have a budget we are working with, which was some sort of a transitional budget from last year into this year. So for the country to continue moving on, a new budget statement needs to be prepared so that the country can work with that. And we are being told that that budget statement will be presented to the House on the 12th of March. So it looks like it's a crash program, but however it is, it's going to be done. So
should we expect that the Finance Minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, would be vetted before the 12th of March then?
Yes, so indeed, yes. And from the schedule that we saw, it appears that he is supposed to be vetted on the 9th, which is the same day the President is expected to deliver the State of the Nation address. If you seen and followed President Akufo-Addo's State of the Nation address, it's usually not the long ones that we witnessed in previous administrations. And so perhaps it could still go on and end, and the Finance Minister's vetting should still go on the 9th as scheduled.
Wilberforce, the circulated news on the rejection of some of the vetted ministers, let's come to that. What other details do you have? Because we know that today the chairman of the vetting committee, Joseph Osei-Owusu, released a statement debunking these claims circulating in the media.
Indeed, yes. Joseph Osei-Owusu is the first Deputy Speaker of Parliament, and by virtue of that, he's the chairperson of the Appointments Committee. And he expressed some misgivings about the information that has been put out. He says that the information as put out does not reflect the work of the appointments committee. He says that the appointments committee has a duty to inform the entire House about its work and for the House to take decisions. And so to the extent that the appointment committee has done its work and will have to present that report, will mean that no individual or no group or no members of the committee have any duty imposed on them to make any announcements as if someone has been rejected or not. But no matter how you look at it, that's what has been put out there. Essentially, it's been that the minority side of the appointments committee say that they have rejected 3 persons and they have issues with 5 others, but 22 out of the 30 for them are cleared to go on with their work. Now, the first deputy speaker and also chairperson of the appointments committee is explaining that he thinks that what the persons that have put out this information did is out of the law, is not within their right, and this shouldn't have happened. He thinks that Parliament as a house will have the opportunity to take a decision on these nominees that the president presented to them for purposes of vetting.
Now, just like you said some minutes ago, the vetting committee is still interrogating some regional ministers designate as we speak who has appeared and what has been said.
All right, so today, from the schedule, I see that some regional ministers were supposed to appear before the vetting committee. And so you have Mr. Edujan. He is the minister designate for Bono East region. And you also have Justina Marigold Asan. She is the minister designate for the central region. And then you have Mr. Shani Al-Hassan Shaibu. He is the minister designate for the northern region. So these are the 3 regional ministers designate who are appearing before the appointments committee today, Tuesday, the 2nd of March, 2021.
Wilberforce, before you go, I know Parliament resumed today, and as at yesterday, we had the information that the House will focus on reviewing its standing orders after almost 20 years of trying to do that. Do we have any information on that?
All right, so the 7th Parliament did some bit of work as far as the standing orders of Parliament is concerned. And so the then Speaker, Right Honourable Professor Michael Quay, together with the 7th Parliament, came up with a new set of standing orders for the House. However, it didn't go through the lay-down processes that are required for it to be adopted by the House to replace the existing standing orders to become the new standing orders of the House. And so the 8th Parliament now has the duty and the responsibility to take it through all the laid down processes in the law to ensure that it can be adopted by the House to become the substantive standing orders for Parliament. The new standing orders has essentially made some amendments. So once it's adopted, then we are going to be seized with it so that we can see the new changes that is being presented in that standing orders. This Parliament, the 8th Parliament, we are told is bent on ensuring that as quickly as possible, the new standing orders can be adopted by the House so it becomes the rules that will bind their activities as the legislative body for our dear country.
Thank you very much, editor of our legal and political desk, Wilberforce Asare there. Now, Ghana today began its mass vaccination of hundreds of persons, health officials categorized as most at risk, frontline health workers, security officials, and journalists, among others. The exercise was activated yesterday after President Nana Akufo-Addo and his wife, followed by the Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, took their shots. Our reporters went across the country to get a fair idea of the response to the exercise today. We start from the Greater Accra region where health officials launched the vaccination program today. Andy Sepa was there. He joins me in the studio. Andy, what can you report from today's event?
Well, so today I was at the Greater Accra Regional Hospital this morning, and the launch was aimed at creating awareness towards the designated health facilities that have the dosages of the vaccine and where Ghanaians or people around Accra can go and then take the vaccine. And so at the launch, I spotted the regional director of the Greater Accra region, that's Dr. Charity Sapon, and also a delegation from the Ghana Health Service, as well as the Director General of the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Patrick Kuma Abuaje. And also, while after the launch, we saw the likes of the Ghana Manche, Ni Teko Nitaki Teko Churu II, and also the Chief of Staff, Madam Akusia Frema Opare. They also came to take their job. And so these are the people I saw. But during the launch, Dr. Patrickuma Abuaje said something about we following the protocols and also making sure that we wear the mask regardless taking the vaccine. Let's take a listen.
Until we have a significant number of people vaccinated, we are all not safe. And I want to use this opportunity to say that when you are vaccinated, don't remove your mask. Please continue wearing your mask. Continue the protocols until someone globally will ring the bell that now we can go back to not the normal, go to the new normal. But there are many good things we have learned from COVID that I think we should carry forward. Hand washing is a good thing. Social distancing is a good thing. We will have to look at the new one. Using IT for many things is also very, very, very good thing. So with those few words, I want to thank you all for coming. And there's a launching and the vaccination in Greater Accra has started.
So, Andy, who else did you speak to and what did the person say?
So I had an exclusive interview with Dr. Emmanuel Adepa Adapo, who is a member of the COVID-19 team at the Greater Accra Regional Hospital. He explains that the purpose of and importance of taking the vaccine.
Educators, sir, it seems still people are not getting the education of the vaccine. Can you tell us more about the vaccine?
Well, I will not blame the people who do not believe in the vaccine. It is because they are not science biased like I am, and they may not have the information readily available to them. So now I will explain to you from the science point of view. What a vaccine does is to induce what we call an adaptive immunity. There are two kinds of immunity: the humoral, which we get primitively from our skin protection, mucous membranes, even saliva. Now, there's then the adaptive immunity, which is built by the introduction of an antigen that elicits the production of an antibody. That is not immediate, but it is more long-lasting than the humoral immunity. So the advantage of getting vaccinated is that the effect is not immediate, but when the effect of immunity is achieved, it is long-lasting. If we are able to explain this to the people that way, they will be able to understand from our point of view, because we have seen demonstrations and seen pictures of how adaptive immunity is built, and then they will follow suit. So I believe we have to encourage them in this way, and also show by practical demonstration, by leadership. The president himself took the vaccination yesterday. The vice also took the vaccination yesterday. We in the front line that are dealing with the patients are ready to take the vaccine, to encourage others who may be skeptical to also be encouraged to take the vaccination. So that's why we are here, and that's what we are here to do.
Andy, what did they say as regards their campaigns to get people to vaccinate?
Well, so I spoke to the regional director of the Greater Accra Regional Hospital, Dr. Charity Sapon, and she says that they would keep on advocating for Ghanaians to go and then take the vaccine because it's safe, and everything indicates, because yesterday we saw the likes of president, the vice president, including some members of the state, and also today we have seen the leaders of the country taking their job, and so it all indicates that the vaccine is safe. She also explains why we should still wear the mask after taking the vaccine.
The Director General, in his last closing remarks, did mention that regardless taking the COVID vaccine, you have to still maintain the wearing of nose mask and the COVID-19 hygiene protocols. One may ask that maybe taking the vaccine, they would rather help us to take off the mask and also feel free, live the new normal. Can you enlighten us on that?
Yes, I think, yes, he rightly said, and I think we've been saying it all along, that when you are vaccinated, you must still continue with the safety protocols in place so the entire population is vaccinated. Because we want to ensure safety, we want to ensure that, we get rid of this infection. So the fact that you are, like we rightly told you, the vaccines slow down the severity of the infection, slows down, people needing hospitalization and other things. But because the human body reacts differently, we don't want to endanger any life. Every life is very precious. So till we achieve herd immunity, where we know that every Tom, Dick, and Harry has been vaccinated and has been protected. And I'm sure at that point, both the WHO and all the relevant persons and agencies like Ministry of Health, Ghana Health Service will come out to say that yes, we are now out of the woods and we need not to. But till then, it is a requisite for us to continue with all the safety protocol.
So that was Dr. Charity Sapon. She is the Greater Accra Regional Health Director. Earlier, you heard our reporter Andy Sepa there. We continue in the Greater Accra region. My colleague Tina Moses was at some vaccination centers and came through with this report.
Here in Accra, former President John Dramani Mahama was one of the first to be vaccinated today. President of the Ghana Journalists Association of Elmoni, as part of campaigns to get people to vaccinate, called on the media to be agents of pro-vaccination. This, he said, will encourage the general public to fully participate in the ongoing COVID vaccination exercise in the country. Elmoni said this when the media took its turn to be vaccinated at the Accra International Press Center.
Journalists do not only have to take the vaccine symbolically, but also send the right signals to right circles that it is safe for one to get vaccinated. It is a sacred national duty from which we should not flinch, so that Ghana as a whole will win the fight against COVID-19. It is a collective fight. So if some people decide to vaccinate, others decide against the vaccination, then it will not be within the bounds of possibility for this fight to be won. For this fight to be won, which is possible, all of us must first of all agree to get vaccinated, and all of us should be agents of vaccination news. We are professionals, and our professional sense of professionalism will be in its fullest glow as far as vaccination is concerned.
In all, 800 media personnel are expected to be vaccinated across the country. Meanwhile, the principal community health nurse in charge of the exercise from the Ghana Health Service, Lucy Nkrumah, says so far the process has been smooth. She shared with Asaase News the processes one has to go through during the vaccination exercise.
It's like any other vaccine. When you come, you take your details, your name, where you work, a lot, you go there. Then you come here to put everything in the data.
For the individual, do you have to eat before you come and vaccinate?
Oh, yes and no.
You can choose
and come without it, you can inject.
At the Rich Hospital, medical doctor Emmanuel Srofenyo said the facility has taken delivery of 400 doses of vaccines for the unit. He says the center will run the exercise from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. each day and will cater for the elderly and people with underlying conditions. Dr. Srofenyo said they will categorize the exercise in a way that will not affect their normal OPD cases.
What we have started today, the people who are to benefit are people who are above 60, people who have some underlying conditions, frontline health personnel are all included, and then also it's a balancing thing where the most important thing is the vaccine to be deployed. So long as we have the vaccine, as the vision of the nation is to vaccinate anybody above 18, then we can commit ourselves to that process. If the vaccine is finished for that day, then we will close down the unit.
So Tina Moses found that report. Afterwards, she interacted with a couple of those who vaccinated to get their views.
Did you eat before coming to vaccinate?
No.
Were you asked whether you've eaten or not?
No.
Can you tell us the process?
Well, you just go and you give your particulars. It is tapped into the computer, and from there, they give you the job.
So what did you use?
I use my driving license.
Driving license. So how do you feel now?
Oh, just normal. Just normal. I'm okay.
Do you use any ID card?
Yes. I use my NIA card. Yes, and they took my phone number too.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they entered into a system.
Yes.
Okay.
They
So
did.
they didn't ask you to sit down for a while?
No, they didn't ask me. I'm sure they're under so much pressure, but I know that you're supposed to sit down for a while, so that's why I came to sit here.
It's like a tap on the arm.
Okay.
I mean the vaccination itself.
So were you asked to sit for a while?
No, not at all.
So immediately you take the injection, you just get.
No, yeah. If about a minute while the girl or the one doing the vaccination will place the arm on where the insertion was.
Tina Moses there interacting with some people who vaccinated early today. Now, former President John Mahama, who took a shot at the police hospital, urged all to participate in the exercise.
All Ghanaians should avail themselves of this vaccine. And indeed in Africa, we should be less hesitant about taking vaccines because all of us take vaccines as we're growing up. I mean, it is due to vaccines that today our children don't get mumps and yaws and measles, those sicknesses. Smallpox has been eradicated. Polio has been almost completely eradicated due to vaccines. And so vaccines are something that are useful to preserve our health. And so I think that people should discard all these rumors about the vaccine. I agree to take it publicly so that I will send a message to everybody that these vaccines are safe and that all the funny rumors are going around on social media hoaxes and that people should...
This is a personal one. When you first took it, what was the reaction?
It's like any vaccine shot I've had. Growing up, I've had many vaccine shots. And for those of us who travel, we know that we take yellow fever vaccines every 10 years. And so it's something that we're used to. And it's not painful. Indeed, I hardly felt it go into my skin. And unlike other med drugs, when they push the plunger in. I mean, this one I could hardly feel any pain. So it's safe, it's not painful, and everybody should take advantage.
And you heard former President John Mahama there. As you may already know, the exercise also took place in the Ashanti region, the second most infected region in the country, with over 14,000 reported cases, plus parts of the central region. I'm joined via Zoom by Dr. Theo Echapon. He is the co-founder of Iris Research Consortium. He joins me via Zoom. Hello, Doc. Thank you for joining us.
Good evening.
All right. I spoke with you the day you started this survey. That's just a number of days ago. You have released your report suggesting that 63% are willing to take part in this you just started vaccination exercise. What went into this percentage?
So just a bit of background, as you rightly said. The survey, as we released, it was basically to assess the potential acceptance of the COVID vaccine among Ghanaians. We deployed it online. We got around 2,300 people participating in it. And the high-level finding was that 6 in 10, or about 60% of Ghanaians, were willing to partake in or take the vaccine. The caveat there, though, is that these are people over 15 years and above. So these are adult Ghanaians and not necessarily the wider population. But we did also indicate that despite 56%, actually the right number, saying that they are willing to take the vaccine, it still doesn't really get us to the herd immunity threshold of about 70%, which is widely reported in the literature. And therefore, we need to increase the public education campaign to get those who said they were undecided. And if you look at the reasons why people said they were undecided, it was practically to do with concerns about the safety and the efficacy of the vaccine, and therefore we need to kind of hammer home the point really on the public education around some of these issues. The other things we did find briefly was that there were some notable differences in terms of the likelihood to accept the vaccine within certain demographic clusters. So between men and women, we found almost like an 8 percentage point gap where men were more likely to accept the vaccine than women. We found something similar with age. So the more older you are, the more likely it is that you take the vaccine. But that clearly shows you that, of course, the research indicates people who are much older are much more exposed to contracting the virus. And the last two sort of demographics were to do with the region, and also to look at their education attainment as well. And with education, if you're more educated, you're much more likely to take the vaccine.
Doc, you just stated rightly that in your survey you spoke to, or you gave the survey to people who are 15 years and above. In the last address by the president on COVID-19, he said that those who are less than 18 years and, of course, pregnant women would not be vaccinated until the appropriate vaccine is found for them. So how sure are you that you got the right responses going into this exercise we just started today?
So if you look at the global numbers that have come, people above 15 or 16 upwards are being vaccinated. So the minimum threshold that I have seen, I'm looking at the numbers and the literature, is around 15. But the people who make the vaccine have not as yet recommended that it be offered to pregnant women and anybody below 15 years. So as the survey we conducted rightly indicate, we did not take into account anybody who was pregnant or fell below that kind of age category. But it clearly shows you really that there's a bit more work that we need to do to increase the likelihood that people will actually accept the vaccine. So while 6 in 10 of the adult population indicate that they for sure will take the vaccine, it still doesn't really get us to that herd immunity threshold.
Doc, I suppose you have monitored the first day of vaccination. What are your impressions?
I think looking at things from where I sit afar, things have gone quite well. The logistical issues seems to have been resolved, and things are going, of course, according to plan. What I would like to see is an enhanced public education campaign. People should actually be getting up and going and wanting to take the vaccine, at least if they fall within the required plan or group that needs to get the vaccine at the time in question. But I think so far it's been good. There's always, of course, room for improvement. The thing that some of my other colleagues who are scientists, so I am an economist and a researcher, but I speak to a lot of the scientists at the forefront of the COVID fight, and one thing that they keep hammering on is the need to actually collect data as part of the vaccine administration process. So the research bit of this and the collection of data, whether it's blood data, whether it's antibody or antigen, whichever one, is actually very, very important in us understanding the extent to which people would have built immunity once they have received the vaccine. And I cannot kind of overemphasize that we need to get a research program ongoing as part of the vaccination drive or campaign.
Doc, I will ask you to hold on for a minute. I'm joined also on the line by Dr. Patrick Kumar-Boaja. He's the Director General of the Ghana Health Service. Good evening to you, sir. Thank you for joining us.
Good evening.
First day of the vaccination exercise, what is your assessment of day one?
Thank you. I think it's gone quite well. We've had launches in Asante, Greater Accra, in Accra, and then Ewutu-Senya in the central region. We are currently doing about 43 districts across the country as the initial phase, and all has been successful. And even what we had planned to do for the day has virtually been oversubscribed. The logistics have been okay. The data entries have delayed, but we also found that in the country there were data entry delays, and so we have had to bring in more tablets because what we are doing completely electronic data entry at the start of all vaccines, the paperless approach, so that we can have a full database. Should the world decide I want to know those who are vaccinated, and then we'll have the data to be able to put into the global database. And so that's what we done. We had a good day. In Accra, we've had the Chief Justice come to vaccinate in public. We've seen Supreme Court judges, the entire Council of State, including the Chairman of the Council of State, Chief, Government Chair, in Kumasi has been Asante in Central Region, they have all been quite successful, and everything has gone quite well. And I think we are happy with the support that we have received from the media and everybody else in this exercise.
Doc, the president in his address on Sunday night said pregnant women and those under the age of 18 would not be vaccinated until an appropriate vaccine is found for them. Beyond respecting the protocols, what plans are in place by your office to protect them until that time?
Well, I mean, it is not as if the world is waiting. There are studies going on to see whether the current vaccines will be suitable for them. You know, the bar for those trials for children and pregnant women is very high. So most of the time, children and pregnant women will not be part of the initial trial. So what we are saying is that we do not have enough information about safety information about them. Currently, it's ongoing. If it turns out it's safe for them, then we can join the same. If not, and there are vaccines that will be developed that will be safe for them, they will be used. And that's why we have a plan from now to October to ensure that we do the full vaccination of the entire country. And we are hoping that in the shortest time something will come that can be suitable, if not this one, that will have be suitable for children.
Doc, before you go, beyond political leaders and other religious persons vaccinating publicly, indeed, you just mentioned the former Chief Justice and, other big or public figures, let me put it, vaccinating publicly. Which other strategy do you have in place to get the few or the others who are not so convinced, to vaccinate, to do so in order to achieve the herd immunity?
Well, I believe that there is, we are continuing community engagement. We're providing education, dispelling all those rumors where you don't really see the science on how those things come about. We are dispelling all those rumors. At the same time, as more people come in, there's always a domino effect. I mean, if you are 10 people and 8 of us are vaccinated, well, I'm sure there's likely where the 2 will join. And that has happened in other countries. I think eventually people get convinced. Then you see your sister or your brother take the vaccine and it's not, nothing has happened to him. Probably feel that he has not turned into, the sex has not changed everything. I'm sure he will go and have it. And so we have time, we'll continue engaging. And my confidence is that in Ghana, despite all these fears about vaccines, 94% of children are vaccinated and they are sent in by their parents and their grandparents and to the place to be vaccinated. And I believe that over time we will overcome all these rumors, and they are not really rumors, myths and misconceptions, and then people will vaccinate so that they can protect themselves and protect everybody. I'm very confident that eventually people will vaccinate.
Thank you very much. Director General of the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Patrick Kuma Abuaje. I still have on the line, I'm talking about Zoom, Dr. Theo Echampo. He's a co-founder of Iris Research Consortium. Doc, your final word here. What strategy do you think must be put in place to reach the 70% herd immunity, as it were? I mean, as needed.
I must commend the Ghana Health Service and Dr. Kuma and his team for what they're doing. I think from a social science background, it's really driving really home the point and dealing away with some of these quote-unquote conspiracy theories around what the vaccine does and doesn't do. But as Dr. Kuma rightly said, once we see a lot more people publicly taking the vaccine and coming out and saying, well, look, I took it, nothing happened to me, then you would get an increased, momentum and enthusiasm buy people to want to go and take the vaccine. But the public education campaign certainly needs to be ratcheted up a couple of notches, and we need to see a nuanced campaigning around some of the pain points that people, for example, raised in our survey about being undecided or not wanting to take the vaccine, which is raised around the safety and the efficacy issue.
Thank you very much, Dr. Theo Echampo. He's the co-founder of IRIS Research Consortium. Thank you for sharing your views with us. It's now time for News Desk, and Jema PI is here.
Welcome to News Desk. The Police Administration, in collaboration with the Ghana Psychological Association, has launched a 4-day workshop for senior police officers on policing and psychological well-being. The course is to help personnel of the service deal with challenges of mental agony. Philippa Atanga has more in the following report.
The official opening ceremony was held at the police headquarters here in Accra. It was attended by the Minister-Designate for Interior, Ambrose Derry, the Inspector General of Police, James Opombueno, members of the Police Management Board, President and members of the Ghana Psychological Association, course facilitators for the program, and some senior police officers. The 4-day course is designed to improve the psychological well-being of members of the police service. In recent times, several suicide cases have been recorded in the police service, necessitating the move to ensure the well-being of police officers. The Interior Minister-Designate and Member of Parliament for the Nandom constituency commended the Police Administration and Ghana Psychological Association for the step taken.
I want to congratulate the IGP and the police, and of course the Psychological Association of Ghana for this effective collaboration. I'm happy to hear that we've now mainstreamed mental health into our training, and as I did say, there are best practices which include preparing our people while they are in service to be in the proper frame of mind. Yes, the extreme case is to commit suicide, but even before you get to a state of committing suicide, your state of mind is going to impact your performance as a police officer.
The Inspector General of Police, James Opombueno, charged senior officers to take the course seriously to enable them achieve the desired purpose.
Undeniably, these models will build and reinforce mental health interventions of course participants to address the short and medium-term needs of personnel for the service. I therefore urge you, course participants, to take this course very seriously and fully cooperate with the resource persons in order to achieve the learning outcomes for the benefit of your subordinates, yourself, and the service at large.
Representative of the Ghana Psychological Association, Dr. Erica Damfrey-Dixon, gave highlights of the course.
We would teach them about mental health because people erroneously think of mental health as those who are half naked walking the streets. They must have a clear understanding of this to be able to identify when such matters come up. We will delve into suicidology or suicide so that they can understand this phenomenon and know what to do where such things arise. We would also look at the human resource policing and mental health.
The course will be replicated nationwide. It is expected to help ease the stress and depressive tendencies that normally lead to very unfortunate situations in the service. Philippa Ayilima Atanga for Asaase News.
Let's take you to other stories. One person has been arrested in connection with a chieftaincy dispute leading to the death of one person at Gomoa Nyinyano near Kaswa in the central region. The suspect, Awudugiwa, was arrested at his hideout in Kaswa upon a tip-off by some residents. He allegedly shot 75-year-old Kofi Abba during the violence that marred the installation of his nephew on Sunday. Earlier reports by the police pointed to a case of stray bullets hitting the man, but the latest update suggests a possible case of target killing. The suspect, according to the Regional Police Command, has since been cautioned and will soon be arraigned on a charge of murder. Asaase News is following events and will bring you updates in subsequent bulletins. Moving on, the new job in South Municipal Assembly in Koforidua in the Eastern region is to set up a sanitation court to prosecute people who violate sanitation laws. This, according to the MCE, Isaac Apel-Jesse, will help deter people from littering the city. He said the Assembly has passed a bylaw which has been gazetted and had reached an agreement with the supervising High Court judge in Koforidua for the court to commence. Speaking to our Eastern Regional correspondent, John Atefa, Mr. Apel-Jesse said the Assembly has provided the necessary sanitation equipment in the city. As such, anyone caught by the law will not be spared.
We have realized that a lot of people still don't want to keep our environment clean. And we were trying to find a means to make sure we force people to clean our environment. And then what we thought about was to make sure we get our bylaws straight. So we've done that. We've passed our bylaws, we've gazetted that, and I've gone to meet with the presiding judge at the circuit court here in Koforidua. So a decision has been made for them to come and sit on either a Tuesday or Wednesday.
Isaac Apel-Jesse is the MCE for the new job in South Municipal Assembly. Now, the Ashanti Regional Minister designate Simon Osei-Mensah has assured that security will be improved in his region when given the nod. The issue of crime, particularly robbery attacks, has been a major source of concern in the Ashanti region over the past few months. The minister designate made this assurance when he took his turn before the Appointments Committee in Parliament earlier today.
We want to see if it's possible that we develop Lagos into an integrated international tourism center, ecotourism center, where people can go and visit. At least that is the only natural lake in West Africa. And if you're able to develop it, it will help us a lot. The first step we needed to do was the road to Lagos from Kumasi was very bad, but it has been awarded on contract, even though it's not moving as fast as we want. Some portions have already been asphalted, and the moment we finish, it will ease travel from Kumasi to Lagos. And if these two investors, at least if one can come up with a very acceptable proposal.
Ashanti Regional Minister designate Simon Osei-Mensah. And the news desk. My name is Jema Apia. The Big Bulletin continues.
Thank you very much, Jema Pia. It's now time for business. Emmanuel Abuajiriafe is already standing here. Hello.
Hi, BTs. How are you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. The Ghana Union of Traders Association, GUTA, says a directive by the Ghana Shippers Authority to shipping lines to withdraw the newly advertised increment in charges is a step in the right direction. Speaking to Asaase Business in an interview, President of GUTA, Dr. Joseph Obeng, said the timing for imposing new charges was not conducive as the COVID-19 pandemic had already dealt a big blow to the industry. He also lamented the absence of appropriate stakeholder consultation before the decision was taken.
Yeah, that's the right thing for Shippers Authority, who have our mandate to act for us. They have to stop them because they are being backed by LI to do this. We are not in normal times. And I find it difficult that somebody will just think about slapping charges on us at this time that businesses are suffering. At this time, that freight charges have gone up astronomically high from $3,000 per 40-meter container to $13,000, the empty container that you rent to send your goods. Goods and services in the market is going up by the day, and it's not by a quantum leap, very big. And so this is not the correct time to punish the consuming public and the importers as well. And that's why we say that they did not even have stakeholders engagement with us. That's the norm.
You heard President of GUTA, Dr. Joseph Obeng. Now, former Energy Former CEO of the Ghana National Petroleum Corporation, Alex Mould, has challenged a rejoinder from the World Bank, indicating he lied about the international financial institution providing guarantees to 4 independent power producers to cover power purchase agreements under the erstwhile Mahama administration. The World Bank earlier said it provided a credit guarantee to the government of Ghana, which was subsequently used to back the independent power producers to raise funds from the banks. Speaking in an interview, Mr. Mould explained that his assertion was premised on the accusations of the current government against the former Mahama-led administration for signing unproductive PPAs under take-or-pay agreements.
People are misconstruing, and maybe even the World Bank is misconstruing. I did not say the World Bank supported the 32 PPAs that we signed. I was specific with the Sankofa Chinyami project, where the World Bank gave Ghana a partial risk guarantee of $500 million as part of the $700 million that supported the Sankofa Chinyami project. The DRG acts as a credit enhancement to enable government of Ghana directly support the project and indirectly provide a guarantee to the IPPs needed by this project to offtake the gas. It's a condition of the Sankofa Chinyami project. So basically, the PRG provides credit enhancement and lessens the risk of default by the counterparties. The World Bank was not only aware of the IPP condition in the Sankofa Chinyami transaction because they are part of this transaction.
That was former CEO of the Ghana National Petroleum Corporation, Alex Mould, ending business back to Beatrice.
Thank you, Emmanuel Abuajiri-Afe. Commercial transport business in our part of the world is considered a preserve for men. However, in recent times, women are aggressively venturing into some of these areas, regardless of the stereotypes associated. As part of Asaase radio series on women, we are focusing on the unique story of Humu Al-Hassan, who shuttles between 37 Lorry Station and Osu in Accra as a driver's mate. Our reporter, Eugenia Richman-Yantichi, has more in the following report.
I'm currently at the 37 Lorry Station, where I'll be speaking to a female driver's mate, Humu.
Humu Al-Hassan is a driver's mate who has been rubbing shoulders with a profession dominated by males. Humu, a widow, tells me how the death of her husband caused her to migrate to Accra in search for a better life for her 3 children.
Me akasa me wota kwa na me kunu ka baby na me ba hase enti me ba no na me hu edwuma meye enti efi no na me ye mate edwuma no enti mate edwuma na me guso a me de me ye.
Taking up a task in an area perceived to be a preserve for men did not come so easy for Humu. After arriving in Accra, she initially ventured into pure water business but quit due to low profits.
Me ba na kasa no na me tompia wata na bedru bebi no awo fo begum na pia wata ne yenta de na obetin wo wiem saa bi o ha obeton ade atensiri so woni nkwala ne kodi ade na wo de to wo ma se nkwala ne yare a wo de ahwe mo oho na me se saa de ama minja na me nkɔhwe mate ne ntemi bisa ya nti o mo trem sai na mate ne to no na me de mo kokoro mo wuro mo no so that time no na ye ba sisi aso de mate adwuma na sai kran.
She tells me being a driver's mate is difficult. Unfortunately, despite her hard work, Humu is hardly able to cater for the schooling of her children and is compelled to occasionally send them to her brother who lives at Nima, a suburb of Accra.
Me ba edwuma ne dia me hu so ba ti so wan ba so na wuti a enye enti na ya me de ba sa no ansa me ba edwuma ne dia enye kura enti me se me no kasa for school fees any a book na de enti me ma no kura o mo nko school ye o mo wo me bra wo Nima.
Coupled with the difficulties involved in her work, Humu has to deal with harassment from people who board the minibus she works on. She tells me how she's victimized because of her gender. To her, the best form to defend herself is to sound tough in her speech.
Last me put the brave catcher me say me or ba papa and committee fee and I may serve me kuno. A honor me catch and say yes, me your ba papa na me serve me kuno. Antina me kwe juma at the abesha membano. Now also year now or your ba papa no jinemo or second or coba no abe ye drianiamo. Intended the money I could come papa because of 10 pesos and some of the catcher no. Madam, oh rock rabbe.
Humu's predicament is worsened when she is sometimes compelled to sleep together with her 3 children at the 37 lorry station in a wooden structure. According to her, the business does not yield enough revenue to enable her to rent a house for herself.
And 3 days,